So as you can see, we have almost 12 type of sensors present here. Some are big, some are small. What this square represent is basically the sensor behind your camera. And when we talk about uh, DSLR or DSLM cameras, we talk about till the sensor size of 1 inch. So everything between, just a second, let me change the color. Okay. So everything in between this size is what we talk about in the photography world. These all are either compact cameras, which are basically the point and shoots that usually people purchase for their family portraits. And it was something that was done almost 15 years ago with the introduction of mobiles and such great devices. We don't need them anymore, while these three are what are present in your mobile phones. While these is one of those sensors which is provided in both compact camera and certain mobiles, but we are not concentrating over these. We are just concentrating over these and more dominantly over these four. Because these three lens sensors are used. This one in particular is used for video making or cinematography. This is particularly present in the Panasonic's and Olympus cameras meant for videography, as well as in the bigger Sony, Venice, and the Alexas and the Red cameras. While this is present in your more expensive, these and this one is present in more expensive compact cameras and not meant for professional work as per se. So what we are concentrating is only these top four. So my camera is this one, which is a full frame, which is considered to be the professional camera, which is present in most of the professional cameras, be it the Canon, be it Nikon, be it Sony, be it Panasonic. This is the crop sensor camera, which I always recommend if you are starting in your career as a photographer, if you are a beginner. While this one was a sensor introduced by Canon back in 2010s, I used to have a camera called Canon 1D Mark IV, which used to have this sensor. It was somewhere in between APS and full frame. Because of it being in between somewhere, the lenses couldn't work over this sensor and it eventually failed. So what we have right now is either full frame or APS-C, also known as crop sensor. So what are these numbers? These numbers represent the size of that sensor. So if I remove this lens from this camera, you can see there is a sensor in this center. So this sensor, the size of this sensor is what a full frame or what is considered as a crop sensor or APS-C sensor. So why this number? Why this specific number and nothing else? And why aren't brand playing with these numbers? Reason for that is 36 by 24 millimeter is the industry standard. And the reason for that is that in the older days when we used to have SLR cameras, SLRs are basically single lens reflex, all the film cameras which have those small film rolls. In those cameras, those film roll size was 36 by 24 mm. So when we move from the SLR to a DSLR, which is a digital single lens reflex, we stick with that particular size. We just change it from the manual to a digital form, from analog to a digital form. Just to make it more affordable, just to make it more approachable, the brands created something called APS-C. So we have two options in APS-C. One of them is from Canon, which is slightly smaller than the brand's option provided by Panasonic, by Fujifilm, by Nikon, and by Sony. So we have two options. So whenever you are considering a camera, first of all, you have to understand the sensor size. So because the full frame sensors are considered professional, they are of higher quality, they offer a bit extra than an average APS-C camera. They also have a higher price tag. Ankita, basically we have a lot of students from across the country who might not be as fluent in Hindi. So to keep it consistent and keep it easy for everyone to understand, I am speaking in English. If you have anything regarding any particular topic, you can ask me. Okay. So because full frames are considered as an industry standard as the professional variant, they are hugely expensive. So the cheapest one available new, it will be Canon RP, which is 75,000 rupees. It is not as what we can say high end as this my camera might be, but it is still a very professional, and it is still a very good camera even for a newcomer and who wants to get into photography and do have a budget. Another option from Nikon will be Z5, which comes at 95,000 rupees, while in the Sony, this one is the cheapest, which comes at 147 or 1,47,000 rupees. If we talk about APS-C cameras, these days APS-C cameras start from anywhere from 45,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees for Fujifilms and the Canons, while the Nikon's smaller cameras are not smart choice these days because they are somewhat of extinct generation or obsolete for the industry. So a Nikon would cost you anywhere around 80,000 rupees. So if you are talking about a basic camera with a basic lens and an additional lens, you can say anything anywhere around 60 to 65,000 rupees for that setup, new. And for used, it could be anywhere from starting from 15,000 rupees until like 5 lakh rupees, depending upon what your budget might be. But make sure that you're choosing the right camera and the right lens for your particular purpose.